And here we're setting the pickles into some ice water to let them get chilled off before they go into the mix for the brine. Alright, and now we're going to be getting our jars prepped back into hot water so we can sanitize these so we can get started on our pickles. Alright, so here we are cutting our cucumbers into slices. These cucumbers are fresh out of a 3-hour bath in ice water, so they're nice and cold. First thing I'm going to do is remove the very ends of the cucumbers. Again, we're going to save those for the chickens. And now we want to cut them as close to the same thickness as possible.
Peeling garlic for the jars. Pickles. It's gonna go on the bottom.
Alright, so we've got all of our cucumbers sliced up. For this we're using Mrs. Wage. It's a pre-mixed bag of seasoning. Picked it up off Amazon. Does a large quantity of pickles, so we had to scale it down for the amount of cucumbers that we're doing. This is our first go round at it. So the next step is to remove the sanitized jars from the hot water bath where they've been getting heated up. Pack the jars with the sliced cucumbers. We're also going to be throwing in a couple pieces of cucumber into each jar. I'm sorry, throwing in a couple pieces of garlic into each jar. And then we'll fill them with the Mrs. Wage's brine that we've got heating up on the stove. Here I'm prepping some fresh dill that I'm also going to add to each of the jars along with the chunks of garlic that we've got crushed up. Alright, so now that we've got our garlic and dill, we're packing the jars down in with the sliced cucumber. Alright, we've got the first jar packed full, so we're going to keep filling these up. Once
as best as possible.
Once all the jars are packed full with the sliced cucumbers, we'll get the hot brine off the stove and then top off the jars. Alright, now that the jars are packed full, we're adding in our pickling brine and just to the neck of the jar. I need to make sure there's a little bit of head space We'll come back through and top all these off in case air pockets get filled up and the liquid goes down. And I'm also making a mess over the rim of each jar, so we'll have to go back through and clean those off to ensure that we get a proper seal. And speaking of getting a proper seal, we noticed that 2 of our lids had big dents in the side of them, and that was out of the box that we got them from. So we had to tap into our reserves to pull some extra lids out. You got to be mindful of that kind of thing to make sure that you get a good seal. And here we are loading the canner up. Set these guys in for a nice bath. And now these guys are going to process. Once they reach a rolling boil, they'll process for 10 minutes. Once the 10-minute time is up, we'll turn the power off to the hot water bath and we'll let them chill for 5 minutes in the hot water before we bring the jars out to cool and seal on the countertop.